My sister is, excuse me, 17 years old, and she's in sixth form. She was in an all-girls school. However, so she was in an all-girls high school. Okay. However, her sixth form is mixed, and this is when I first began to see some changes. She started to wear miniskirts to school. And just to give you background, he comes from a Muslim family. I'm not sure how practicing the family are, but the fact that he even has this concern indicates to me that he is practicing himself and that his family are practicing of some sort. Okay, I don't know how much, but the fact that this is a concern to him means is, alhamdulillah, he has that iman. So this is when I first began to see some changes. She began to wear miniskirts to school, so this is clearly unusual. This is unusual behavior from what he was used to seeing from his sister. And putting makeup on, and dyed her hair blonde. Just to give you some background context, the gentleman is South Asian. All right, so when a South Asian sister, and I'm not going to name the country specifically, okay? In fact, I don't even know. So there you go. When a South Asian sister's dyeing her hair blonde, bruv, it's a bit mad. Yeah, it's a bit odd. It's a bit peculiar. Black with some streaks, maybe some red streaks, red highlights, whatever you guys call it. Maybe blonde highlights, yalla, bronze highlights, but bleach blonde, bro, just dyeing the whole thing is a bit odd. It's a bit weird. You're not Scandinavian out here. She dyed her hair blonde, and this is the first time she is amongst men. Me and my father and mother kept saying to her that this is wrong and how she shouldn't wear so little clothing and she must cover up. Okay. This is point number one, that mom and dad are saying to her that she has to do such and such, but that she's not listening. Let me make something very clear to you. Okay. Are you going to live under my roof, are you? Okay, no problem. You're my daughter, you're going to live under my roof. You're going to live under my rules, woman. And if you don't like that, that's okay. The door's wide open. Goodbye, ma'as-salama. Get out.
This is number one bullshit. This is haram.
There can be no negotiating on this. This is very, very important, especially once children start breaking boundaries like this. Oh, you want to live under my roof? Oh, you want your electricity paid for? Oh, you want food in the fridge and a hot meal every night, do you? No problem. Of course, you're my child. Absolutely. You toe the line. You toe the line. Otherwise, the child, or in this case, young adult, she begins to think, well, you know what? I don't respect these guys. Why should I? I'm getting everything I want whilst transgressing. What motivation? What motivation is there for me to do as they are asking me? If I'm gonna get what I want from them, food, bills paid for, roof over my head, whilst behaving in this way, there's no motivation. There has to be a consequence of some sort. Point number one. This shouldn't be, we tried to tell her. No, woman. You do as I tell you. Well, you get out, my salama, goodbye. You have to know this. You have to understand that there is always another option. Never feel helpless in your situation. I can't do anything. No, you always have options. You might not like those options, but you do have them. Woman, you will toe the line. Or you will go and toe the line outside somewhere else. Let's continue. So, me and my father and mother kept saying to her that this is wrong and how she shouldn't wear so little clothing and she must cover up. However, she just wouldn't listen. Why would she listen? No incentive to listen. She's getting what she wants whilst doing what she wants. Why would she listen for? There are no consequences. There's more. And she would do the opposite, the irony. She's been secretly buying more inappropriate clothes and having it delivered to the post office where she goes out and collects it. And she brought my younger 10-year-old sister with her and told her that we can wear whatever we want. Don't listen to mum and dad. So now she's corrupting the younger one. Now this is even more serious. Now this is not even a case of, oh, do we need to take some type of assertive action of some sort? Do we need to consider moving her out the house because she's misbehaving or not telling? Now she's poisoning the well. Now she wants to corrupt the young 10-year-old. Now we have a major problem on our hands. So she was telling her 10-year-old sister, we can wear whatever we want. Don't listen to mom and dad. MashaAllah. Allahu Akbar.
This is number one bullshit.
She also has her own part-time job where she's earning a bit of money and feels more independent. And she's buying her own things. You feel independent, do you? Okay. How about you go and independently get your own little flat and independently pay your own little rent? You know how quickly she's going to come running back to you after she realized how difficult actually living really is. We're coming. You've heard nothing yet. Just wait. You've heard nothing. Wallahi, you've heard nothing. And then she says things like, this is my money. I can do what I like with it. And I can buy what I want. Okay. My father confiscated her phone last night, of which then there was an alarm on the phone which said, take pill now. She had an alarm set on her phone that said, take pill now. Remember, this is a girl who comes from a Muslim family, South Asian background. I'm not going to go any further than that. Muslim family. You guys already know this is a madness. Young teenage girl, sixth form, means that she's either between the ages of 16 and 18. Take pill now. And my mother found 2 boxes of contraceptive pills in her room where 4 pills had already been consumed. Now, I don't know what type of pills these are. I don't know if it's the morning after pill or if it's the pill that you have to take every single day. I'm assuming it's more morning after. I don't know. All right. But if it's morning after and she's had 4 already, well, you already know what that means. We confronted her about this, and she said that it was for acne. Please, give me strength. Where's the friggin'?
Stop the cap.
It's for acne. All right, safe. And then she said it was for sport. Bruv, what? My mother and father didn't know what to do or say, and we all knew that she had really been doing, and that it was too late. I explained to her how she has destroyed her life and how this will impact her life forever, but she just wouldn't listen. We were lecturing her on what foul a sin she had committed, yet she stayed silent and wouldn't answer our questions. So the fact that she stayed silent is obviously an admission of guilt, right? And she hid under the covers of her bed, but then I lashed out and pulled the covers and shouted at her and called her a whore. I don't know what to do. I know for sure she's in a relationship with an English guy. The guy didn't actually write that, but I'm just making this a bit more YouTube friendly. I don't know how old this person is or any information. She hasn't told me anything, and I'm unsure if she even feels any guilt for what she's done. I'm worried she feels empowered by what she's done and that she's fallen for this feminism BS. Is she too far gone? Should I be nice to her and kind of punish her and belittle her? But if I do that, she's planning to go university next year, and I know she's going to be even worse. So the guy is like, it's not coherently written. Okay, he's vomiting his emotions right now. My parents are not being very punishing about it, as they are afraid it will push her away and that she will lose faith, as my elder sister ran away from home also. Another point to latch on to here, which I did, and we will get into in a moment. All right. You know what? I don't want to spoil it for you. But the problem that the parents are finding themselves here is the following. They have raised their first daughter in a particular manner. That girl ended up running away from home. They said to themselves, clearly we've done something wrong. Let's try and do something very different. Usually the opposite. Human beings are like that. They're like, oh, this didn't work. We have to do the exact opposite. The exact opposite will work, which is usually the opposite extreme. And the opposite of extreme is still extreme. You see? And the end result is still the same: corruption. The end result is still the same: corruption. Shout out to my guy Itachi Allah. Shout out to you, Habibi. Jazakallah khair for the $5 super chat. Mahdi, I agree with you. However, if she's kicked out, wouldn't she be highly susceptible to bad influences and become worse? What if she's salvageable? This is an excellent point, bro. And I'm going to get to this, inshallah. And this is a very legitimate concern. This is a very legitimate concern and an excellent question. And you're absolutely right. You see, and this is the quandary that parents find themselves in. And I'm going to get to this. Jazakallah khair for your super chat, my man. So remember, my parents are not being punishing. They're not saying anything. So there's no consequences here. Okay? And they are afraid that if they do punish her, she will run away, as the elder sister already has. And in fact, if the elder sister has already set this precedence of running away from home, then it only makes it easier for this younger sister to do the same thing as well. So the idea is already there in her mind for sure. He continues, we live in some next conservative ends, by the way. And then writes a couple other things. Then I say to him, okay, I can't say that part because I don't want him to be identifiable. Okay, then I asked him, what's the story with your older sister who ran away? Pay attention. He writes, she suffers with a list of mental illnesses from complex PTSD, heavy disassociation, crippling anxiety, multiple eating disorders, and a severe case of depression. Growing up, she was physically and mentally abused at home, bullied at school, and at home by my father. She was also Now, I don't know what this means, okay? I didn't dig into this. What does it mean she was abused at home? What does it mean she was bullied by her father? I don't know what all of this means, okay? Was she actually abused? I don't know. But I'm just repeating to you what she has said. Zach back. Jazakallah have your £2 super chat, my man. If I were the father, I would send her back home. Yeah, I mean that's something that a lot of parents do, by the way. Send their kids back home. Very common. Okay. So she was bullied at school and at home by my father. She was groomed online. Again, I don't know what this means. What does grooming mean? How did she get groomed? Did she really get groomed, or was she just flirting with some guy online? I don't know. All right, but I'm just reading to you. And on top of all of that, she's had multiple suicide. Can't say that word, can I? Multiple self-deletion attempts. Okay? Multiple self-deletion attempts. She attempted to self-delete herself on multiple occasions. So it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And at 18, she packed up and left. I am still in contact with her. However, she has not spoken to anyone else from my family for 2 years. She now lives by herself and has left Islam, sadly, which is the greatest travesty. However, the difference with my eldest and younger sister is that my younger sister was treated far better and never had a hand put on her. She is academically a super genius, scoring A stars across the board. She had no hardships in life and was treated very fair by my father, happily paid for whatever she wanted, and allowed her, pay attention now, because I'm sure you guys who've been following me for any meaningful period will be able to recognize what's going on here. She had no hardships in life, was treated very fair by my father, who happily paid for whatever she wanted. She was allowed her to go out and do whatever she wanted, as he regretted how he treated my elder sister. Somebody tell me what happened here, if you've watched me for any meaningful period. King Sultan, what's happened here, bro? What is one thing that I talk about on this channel over and over and over? Defining yourself in reverse. Defining your actions in reverse of what your experience was. In this instance here, and I actually uh, I responded to the gentleman, and I said to him, "This is a classic case of being defined in reverse. How the eldest daughter was treated was extreme by what he has explained to me. Okay, I can only go on what he's told me. Equally, however, how the youngest daughter was treated was also extreme. And what was the end result? Corruption. The end result was the same. So one child had, supposedly, from what has been narrated to me, an extremely harsh upbringing, which ended up breaking her, and then she went astray. The parents saw this and said to themselves, okay, that didn't work. We need to do this, which is let the kid do whatever she wants to do. If she wants to go out, let her go out. Just give her that freedom, because clearly that's what we need to do in order to raise a healthy child. Defining yourself in reverse. There is a middle ground, and human beings do this over and over and over and over and over and over again. Dinya dawara. Just going round in circles, constantly, backwards and forwards, hovering between extremes. This is an extreme as well. And the end result is what? She took off her hijab. She's got a boyfriend. She's having regular sex with him. She's on contraceptive pill. This is the end result. One had extreme strictness, the other extreme freedom. Both are as bad as each other. Both of them. Benny Blanco, appreciate the £5 super chat, my man. I'm the only son here in the West and breadwinner. My sisters back home would beg me tirelessly to bring them to the West. I always refuse because of this. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you, Akhi. Good for you. Wallahi, good for you. Good man. And then I said to him, I'll make a video response to this. Okay. So the question is, what he wants to know is, what should he do? Should he be nice to her in the hope, as our brother just earlier here, where's the brother? Itachi made a good point, legitimate point. If she's kicked out, wouldn't she be highly susceptible to bad influence and become worse? This is a possibility. But here's the thing, okay? One thing is for sure, and please listen to when I say this. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Do you understand this? If nothing changes, nothing changes. Now, I want to give a caveat before I continue, actually. Whatever advice you hear from me should be secondary to whatever advice you have first sought from a scholar. You need to speak to a scholar who is accustomed to the situation here in the West. He knows what's going on. His opinion, far above mine. Mine becomes a distant second to his. This is the first thing, okay? But I have dealt with something similar in my extended family myself. And the tactic we used worked. It worked. It's a similar situation, not exactly, and the tactic we used worked. And I will explain to you. So, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If she continues to stay living at home, and the parents just hoping on a wing and a prayer that, by some miracle, she's just going to become better. Think about it logically. If there are no consequences for her bad behavior, what incentive does she have to change? Nothing. So we can safely conclude that if she's already having sex whilst living at home, and there's going to be no real consequences for this bad behavior, then she's going to continue having sex whilst living at home. So what's the difference in throwing her out on the street then? Because she's just going to do the same thing. She's going to continue having sex either way. Here, living at home, she's having sex. Out on the street, she's having sex. What's the difference? At home is the hope. Maybe hoping. No, don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Human beings need to experience consequences sometimes in order to give them a jolt, a wake-up call. Electric shock in the side. Oh, wait, man. Okay. What happened in my extended family once? Similar situation to this. Not exactly the same. And when I analyzed the situation, first I became upset, obviously. And I was like, I need to address this head on. But I had matured a little bit by then. I'd grown up a little bit. And I was like, if I try to address this head on and let this individual know how angry and upset I am, all I'm going to do is create a Romeo and Juliet situation. What's a Romeo and Juliet situation? Commentators on the play Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare, they have commented on this, and they have mentioned that even though it's a fictional play, it's a representation of real life. And they commented and mentioned that Romeo and Juliet would not have fallen so deeply in love with each other were it not for the fact that the families hated each other so much and didn't want Romeo and Juliet to be with each other so much. Meaning, from the perversity of human nature is that we want to go against what we are told to do. So they fell so deeply in love with each other precisely because they weren't allowed to. The irony. And the more you try and pull them away, the more they will fight to be with each other. This is the problem of addressing it head on. Now, this is contextual. Let's say you live in a Muslim country, okay? And you live in a Muslim country whereby you have the upper hand, and this situation can be easily resolved by involving the local authorities, the Islamic police, or whatever the case may be. Then, of course, you take your intervention. But if you're living here in the West, you don't have that type of leverage, bro. You don't have that type of upper hand. So what do? You need to find another way. What's the other way? Well, I can tell you what worked for us. We made the situation very clear. Bismillah. At this point, the young lady had left. She had already left the home where she was living. Alhamdulillah. And we made it very clear to her. And we said to her, okay, that's fine. You carry on, living your little life with this guy and whatever. Absolutely fine. But so long as this charade continues, you will have absolutely nothing to do with us. Zero. Nothing. Complete cutoff. What did that do? That enabled her to taste what life would be like if she chose this man over her family. Just taste it. Dhuqi. Try it. See if you can handle it. See if he's worth it. You know why? Because that initial phase, what do they call it? What do they call that phase when you're so deeply in love with each other? Mana? What's that phase called? The honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase. That phase, it passes. And then you're just like two normal people living with each other. And once she realizes the consequences of her decision, which is she's lost her family completely, they want nothing to do with her, then she comes to a situation in her mind where she has to decide, do I continue down this path with this man at the expense of my family? Am I able to live with that? Or do I go back to my family? This goes back to one of the laws of power. Don't explicate, demonstrate. Don't threaten. Don't warn. Don't blackmail. No, let them feel it. Let them taste it. Let them see what it feels like for real. Don't explicate. Don't explain. Demonstrate. Let them feel it. And we allowed her to feel what life would be like without the family that she's had her entire life. Do you know what happened? She chose her family over the man. She came back to the family, she ditched the man, and she ended up coming back to the religion as well. Alhamdulillah. Now, is this to say that this tactic or this technique can work every time? No, maybe sometimes it won't work. But one thing I can guarantee you is this, that if you do nothing, and by the way, I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. If you want to call in, if you've got a question and you want to call in, you are welcome to hit that link. It's in the chat right now. If you do nothing, there is no motivation or incentive to change. At this point, you're literally just holding your hands up and hoping for the sake of Allah. Yani, Ya Allah, please guide her. Because there's nothing else after that. But you need to take affairs into your own hands as well. Allah expects you to take action as well. He expects you to do something, and you don't just sit there. Oh Allah, please open up the heavens, and I want to make 100 grand a year.
So if you like that clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.